All right, WolfPack Nation, we are back here once again for part 2 of our interview here with Broussard, the executive director of the WolfPack Club. If you haven't already checked out part 1, make sure to go check that out first. As again, we kind of get a little bit of background again in terms of what brought Ben to NC State in the first place. Talk a little bit about Pack of Wolves. Talk a little bit about just dealing with COVID in general. But now kind of talking a little bit more about kind of specifics with the WolfPack Club as well. So one of the things that you had mentioned for sure. And one of the biggest reasons that we reached out to you in the first place, really, and because obviously, Greg, he's big time WolfPack Club guy, obviously wearing the WolfPack Club polo. Me and my family have been a part of the WolfPack Club for years and years and years. And again, I mean, especially just like you said, with the prices being so cheap, again, $120 a year per se. Like if you ever talk to somebody, because like again, you talk about pitching, what's kind of usually some of the kind of pushback? Because again, I mean, $120 a year is so cheap, but it's just like, because I can kind of see the other perspective too, where it's like, well, I don't really need it. I have somebody else that can already give me tickets, pocket pass, things like that. But I mean, is there anything else that we can kind of think of? Go ahead, Greg.
No, I just want to say, Ben, before you answer, let me just give you my perspective. $120. That's 2 less lattes a month you get. So let's keep it in those terms, right? Because it's not a lot of money. So it's not a big sacrifice you have to make if you want to make it. So Ben, please.
Yeah, there's no doubt. There's a couple things, right? The marketing that had been done here for so long was around using the WolfPack Club as a way to get better parking. Let's just be honest. Parking really drives a lot of things here. And I get it, man. We've got a great setup, maybe better than anywhere in the country for the amount of great parking we have. What I need people to realize is that if you love what these young people do for the university, this is how you can support them. This is how you can make sure we have enough money to educate all these kids. From my standpoint, we built the ambassadors program, right? Basically so that I could get folks out there to help me find those people that weren't doing it. I was at a caravan event in Charlotte, and this young man comes up to me, and he was probably 30 years old, had a real successful lawn business. And he said, "Hey, I like that polo you have on." It was a staff shirt. And he said, "How do I get it?" And I said, "No, I won't sell it to you, but if you go out and find me 3 members, I'll give it to you. Right? I'll give it to you." And I think he's got 2 of them so far, so I'm going to give it to him. But I mean, I tell people all the time, and I'm not kidding when I say it, right? If anybody out there goes out and can sign up 10 brand new members for me in the WolfPack Club, I'll bring them before the game to run out of the tunnel with me and the football team. Right. And I mean, and I'm not kidding when I say that someone that signs up 10 new members for me in the WolfPack Club, that's exponentially more valuable than someone giving me $5,000, right? Because those 10 people over time are going to grow with us. Right. And so from my standpoint, if you're in one of those tailgates that knows you have a bunch of people that mooch off of your food, beer, and parking pass, have them join the WolfPack Club, or at least put them in touch with us and let us give it a shot.
Sure.
Challenge accepted.
I know that's a heck of a pitch right there.
With the new lights running out of the tunnel, that's pretty enticing.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So you mentioned that initiative, and I'm in a bunch of different, Facebook groups and Twitter and all of that, and people are always complaining about this, that, and the other about what we're doing or not doing. And my first question to them is always, do you contribute to the WolfPack Club? Because if you don't, take a seat, and then when you start donating, come back to the table and talk to us. Because they always want, the best of this and the best of that, but they don't understand that it takes recruits and student athletes to get there, and it takes the facilities, and we need to pay coaches. So all of that is required, right? Except I'm not mistaken, some of the salary for coaches does come out of the WolfPack Club. Am I correct in that assumption?
No, I mean, we certainly help out for sure.
Sure, okay. Because I've seen that question before too. But so my point being is, the pitch that you just gave is probably the most passionate pitch you can make because, we're all at heart diehard NC State fans. Some show it differently, but I think we can all show it with a couple of dollars. And it's just one of those things where we just need support. I mean, bottom line. So the different types of clothes, we kind of talked about it offline, but can you talk about the different levels, like the 3 different levels that there are for the WolfPack Club?
Yeah. So, I mean, we try our hardest, for the diehard families to have, the junior WolfPack Club where our little ones can get involved, right? And we've got a pretty healthy membership there. Great. Where we do things for them. They get special access. And I met someone the other day that was 45 years old, and they told me they're excited that they're almost a 50-year WolfPack Club member. And I mean, that's crazy, right? That doesn't exist in other places.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. And then we've got the student WolfPack Club where, you can get access to better seats as a student, but you can start building your membership with us. And then, of course, we've got the regular membership. And we've got different tiers. We've got our impact program where you can do more with us if you've got those kind of means. You get invited to more things. You get to meet the coaches. You get to meet student athletes. But the point is that we have something for everybody. Right. I mean, if you're one of those people and you're just barely making by and you can't do $500, $120, call us anyway, man. You make an honest effort and give us $10 and that's all you can do.
Yep.
I'm still going to find a way to get you more involved.
Yep.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Well, because what I would say too, because, maybe to somebody too, that's saying, well, I can only donate $120 a year. Like, what's that really going to get me? Is that, and again, this is something which is kind of one of the reasons why, my parents added me to their WolfPack Club membership so young, is because it's not necessarily how much you donate, but it's also how long you've been with the WolfPack Club too, as well. Right. So, I mean, even though you may only be able to donate $120, a year, that, I mean, eventually down the line that you can definitely get some great perks out of it, for sure. So that's another thing I would push to anybody else.
I'll make one other point, though, and this goes to what Greg was saying a second ago.
Please.
Right? At that point in time, you've earned the ability to raise your hand and ask a question, right? I mean, at that point in time, the one thing that I'll say it does get you is it gets you my phone number, right? I mean, I'll never not take a call from a WolfPack Club member, right? I had a guy call me that's been giving us $200 a year for years and years and years, and he had this big issue, and we were able to get it solved, right? And the reason I solved his issue was because he's dedicated, devoted, and he picked up the phone and called.
I love it. Amen. Mm-hmm. Amen. And so how does it go too? Because again, I mean, obviously, again, there's so much left and right, whether it's, again, about, Doak Field, whether it's about, for football, like, people have been asking left and right for a new scoreboard, left and right for a new audio system, left and right probably about, NC State football wearing black uniforms. Like, we're red and white from state. We should be wearing red and white only. So, I mean, like, is there kind of like, a level per se in terms of like, you have like some people that deal with certain situations, or like, like how do you typically handle, a issue from a WolfPack Club member like that?
Yeah, well, so, I mean, listen, when someone calls and asks me about black uniforms, not a thing in the world I can do for them, right? that is square on the desk of Gregorian, right? And so there's nothing I can do there.
Yeah.
But when they ask, I was visiting with a guy about 6 months ago, and he told me, he said, listen, I'm going to give a pretty good amount of money, but it has to go to wrestling, right? He's like, if I find out that my money is going to football, he's like, I'm going to stop giving you money, right? I don't care about anything else other than wrestling. And he's helping us renovate the locker room for the first time in 30 years in wrestling right now.
Yeah.
Right. The football weight room at the Murphy Center is getting redone for the first time in 25 years based on philanthropic support. And listen, give credit where credit is due. A lot of former players have given back, and that's an issue at a lot of places. Right. I mean, Jericho gave back. Mike Glennon gave back. Some older guys that nobody would know gave back. I mean, there's a lot of guys, that gave back as former players to help out, make sure that thing happened.
Yep.
We're working on baseball, right? Your question about the scoreboard, who's going to address that? I mean, I'd be willing to bet that, within the next little while, right, there's going to be, movement on that. I mean, there's a lot of things that are being worked on and looked at.
Yep.
You wish you could do everything at once, but
sure.
It's you get sorry. Listen, I'll tell you this too, and this is something to be proud of. I've been here 2 years now. We just flipped the calendar on another fiscal year, and we've closed 2 of the best 3 fundraising years that this place has ever had. Right, and it's not because I'm better than what's in the past. It's just because Boo had a mission of some things we wanted to do. Right, and we've got out and grinded, and we're going to get them done. Mm-hmm. Right, and if we can continue to do that, we'll give our young people all what they need so they can succeed and do like our women's cross country team did and keep winning national championships.
Absolutely.
So speaking of that, since your time here, what's been your most exciting moment on the job?
Yeah, man, there's been a couple, but I was very, very proud of how we did coming out of COVID. I mean, we could have pretty easily folded up our tent, and went and borrowed a bunch of money and, made it so, the next 3 generations that come through here are paying the debts of 2020 and 21. So I'm very proud of that. I'm proud of our impact program. I mean, we've raised several $1 million. We've connected a ton of student athletes. We've had over 70 donors get involved in that program, and that's really helping us get some things done that haven't been done here in a long time. Listen, I'm also the sports supervisor for wrestling, and I'm proud as can be of those boys. Right? I mean, what Pat and them did this past several years is amazing. Yes. I mean, think about last year, just for the sake of discussion. Did you guys ever see the picture of the trophy display that we took on the caravan this past year?
Yes.
I mean, there's ACC championship trophies everywhere. There's national championship trophy in there. There's a gold medal. I mean, the year that NC State just had, I mean, it's one of the best years in the history, if not the best collectively this place has had. I mean, it shows that with this institution in this town, with this set of administrators, coaches, and student athletes, you can accomplish a ton at this place.
Absolutely. Amen to that.
So I guess kind of my follow-on question, your proudest moment now, what are you hoping your legacy ends up being in the next, 5 years, 30 years, however long you plan on staying here? What do you want everyone to remember you by?
I hope that there's a point in time that either when I retire or when I move on, that I come back here with my kids or my grandkids and I can proudly say, hey, you see that building, right? You see that flag that's hanging above the stadium, right? Your dad played a small part in that, right? And listen, I've got a little bit of that at Colorado. I've got a good bit of that at LSU. I would really like, I don't ever want my name to be on anything or a statue of anybody that I know, right? But if I can sit back and I can say that, that 2022 ACC football championship, right? I played a small part in that. I'd be a proud fella.
Amen to that.
We all would.
Amen to that.
Oh, yeah.
Before we continue, I want to take a quick second to tell you about our sponsor, Flatlands Jessup Insurance Group, that has your whole world covered, with agents in 5 offices throughout eastern North Carolina to help you decide how much coverage you need. Offering policies for home and auto, recreational vehicles, commercial, crop, health, life, and employee benefits. They are able to combine options to find a comprehensive solution that works for you. Flatlands Jessup protects the things you love so you can spend less time worrying and more time enjoying them. Find them on Facebook and Instagram at Flatlands Jessup. You can also visit their webpage at www.flatlandsjessup.com. So please make sure to go and check them out.
So we're recording this the day after USC and UCLA announced they're moving to the Big Ten. I just wanted to get your thoughts on what you see as the future of the ACC and where NC State fits into that.
Well, so really what you're asking me is to speculate on this, right? I mean, essentially you're saying what's the lottery numbers?
Yeah.
Because listen, I mean, as we sit right now, right, the ACC is intact and is doing perfectly fine, right? But if on SportsCenter tonight we read that Clemson and Florida State just went to the SEC, right? Well, then now
bets are off. Yeah.
Now it's a different conversation altogether, right? So as I sit here today, I think the ACC is fine the way that it is, and I hope that it stays. But I genuinely don't know. But I will say this, though, that I know that Commissioner Phillips is on top of this, right? I know that Commissioner Phillips is on top of this, that I don't think they'll be reactive to anything, that they're on top of this and they've got a plan. What that is, I don't know. And where we end up, I don't know. But change is coming. We know that. But I don't know that it's going to hit us as hard as it has other conferences.
And you talk about too, in terms of how Jim Phillips, is working on. There's no doubt that, I mean, that's got to be his number one priority right now, because I guarantee you that's probably, he's getting a phone call a minute about exactly that. Because one of the things I wanted to kind of clarify, I wanted to ask your opinion about too, is that, because I'm sure you've heard this, this thought before as well, but because when I said earlier that we were spoiled with Debbie, one of the reasons I say that is because not only was she very pushy in terms of, if she had an issue with it, she went after it, whether it was officials or decisions by the ACC or NCAA, whether it was, but she would, be on social media about it. She would let everybody know about it. So every single State fan knew exactly what she was doing, what she was thinking, and how she was going to handle it. And with Boo, it's just obvious that, again, that's not really his thing in terms of, being very public, in terms of what he's doing. But, I know from things inside that, just like you said, that he was pushing very, very hard in terms of not only making the College World Series right, but also too with the Holiday Bowl as well, in terms of trying to make, other arrangements, things like that as well. So, again, just if you wouldn't mind as well, because again, I mean, there's no doubt that, I mean, in any of our minds at all, that Boo is not the right man for the job. He is 100%. He's done an amazing job, and he stepped up in such a tough situation, such as with COVID and getting knocked in the teeth with College World Series right off the bat, literally not even a year into his job. But can you kind of talk a little bit in terms of really the impact, that is with Boo? And then for those people saying, Boo isn't saying anything, why isn't he saying anything about, this, that, whatever it is, like, what's your kind of response to that? Because I think it really is insider approach.
And listen,
go ahead.
The one big thing I think you're forgetting and you're leaving off, in addition to being the AD of the year, he's the chair of the College Football Playoff Committee.
True.
I mean, you want to talk about a big deal in our business? Like, there's a line of athletic administrators that cut off their pinky toe, right?
Right.
To have that, right? I mean, but Boo got that pretty quickly because of, the respect that he has in our business. The analogy that I would use for Boo is that old duck analogy, right? Like they're just gliding across the top of the water and you don't see what their feet look like under the water because they're moving like hell to get where they need to go.
Yep.
Right? That's Boo, right? I mean, he has a plan for everything. He works really hard. He treats people well in an effort to make sure that NC State is positioned in the best way possible. And listen, let's not also forget, too, the one person we're leaving out of this discussion is Chancellor Woodson, right? I mean, he's,
Right.
Chancellor Woodson has been on almost every athletic NCAA committee that exists, right? I mean, athletics is very, very important to him, and that's why he hired someone like Boo to do this job. So you're again, NC State is uniquely positioned because of the institution and the leadership alignment, right, for athletics. But for the people that don't know Boo well, he was at a donor meeting last night, 2.5 hours away. He works very hard behind the scene. Is he different than Debbie? Sure he is, but everybody is. We're all different in the way we do our business.
Absolutely.
And I don't think it's a good or a bad thing comparing the folks. They're just different styles.
Exactly.
But I promise you, as the day is long, that man's doing everything he possibly can to advance our mission.
Exactly.
And the one story I'll add, and I've kind of mentioned it here before, but I'll say it again, is, I ran into him on an elevator up in Bridgeport for the women's, tournament. And he asked me how I was doing. And I was shocked. I was like, this guy knows who I am, like, because of my situation. But you're right. He absolutely does genuinely care. Just because he's not, vocal on social media or whatever. That's just not his platform. I mean, some people just like addressing things the way they want to address them. And I applaud him for doing it his way. And he's doing it the right way. Because like you said, he's being recognized in all these different platforms. They don't just put any scrub, give him the AD of the year or put him on the most important committee in all of college sports.
Absolutely. Amen to that.
Yeah. So some people like to put pictures of their barbecue on Twitter. Other people don't like Twitter, right? I mean,
Exactly.
It's just
Exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so, another question too, which I wanted to kind of ask, and this is more of one because, again, it's another thing we hear a lot of. And again, I think that's really been kind of really what these episodes have been about is like, here's what we've heard a lot of. Now let's try and get these situated. But, one of the things that we heard a lot of as well is that, like, for example, with the Doak Field renovations, you'd heard like a rumor about like, for example, like Trey Turner and Carlos Rodon wanted to donate money. But yet they, again, this is rumor, but apparently they would get pushback saying, well, you can't just donate to just baseball. It has to go to athletics in general. But just like you said, and yeah, exactly. Speaking for you is that, I mean, then if you're getting offered money, just like with the wrestling thing, you're not going to say no to it. I mean, it's just smart business. But I mean, can you?
Yeah, that's bad urban legend. I don't know where that would come from, but not only can they, but we're actively trying as of right now to make that happen. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And listen, we've had former players give back to the project. I mean, a lot of members of the '68 team, including a guy by the name of John Lancaster, have given back. No, we have sports specific giving right now. Anybody can call me up and say, hey, listen, I only want to support the women's golf program. Right. And if they want to do that, now they may say, I want my scholarship dollars to benefit that. Right. And then that'll go into the general pot. And then eventually it'll make it to a women's golfer. But if they say, here's $1,000 and I want to make sure that our women's golf team gets, extra stuff, it goes in that women's golf account. So no, that's not true. That's just rumor.
Yeah.
Can I add something to that if you don't mind?
Sure.
I think it was at PNC Arena. There's a plaque on one of the levels and it has all of the different sports and the dollar goals. So it's obvious that, people, there's money going to each of these programs and there is goals. So,
well, Greg, the plaques you're talking about, because that exact same plaques are in our office in the stadium. Those are the endowments that have support those schools. Like if you said today, hey, I've got you in my will for $500,000 and I want it to go to football scholarships, right? Then that money is going to go into that endowment and never get touched, and we'll just spend the interest off of that. So that's what you're talking about right there.
Okay, got you. Thank you for the clarification.
Absolutely. And so, kind of wrapping this thing up here a little bit, kind of one fun question is what I want to kind of ask to see kind of, what you would say to is, is there anything that maybe state fans, maybe most state fans do not know right now that maybe that you can kind of give a little bit teaser about, something to look forward to in the future, anything that maybe most state fans don't know yet?
Well, I think you guys saw this. We're going to break some ground over at the baseball stadium here in a couple of weeks.
Great.
So that's amazing. The thing that I tell most state fans that they don't know is I tell them a couple things. One, we're absolutely spoiled with how great our situation is for tailgating. the parking passes that people complain to me about. I'm like, man, that would sell for $10,000 anywhere else in America. Be proud of that. But the other thing I tell them is, listen, NC State fans are the most passionate fans I've ever seen. And I don't mean that just because I work here. It's the honest to God truth. And that cuts both ways, right? I mean, there's no apathy at this university. And the thing that I try to tell people is it's much better off than you guys think. But because we don't have a football or a basketball championship in the last, I don't know, however long it is now, 35, 40 years, right? We sit back and we think that we're not successful. But if I blind resumed all Power 5 schools and threw them on the desk and told all the Power 5 ADs to just shake them up and pick the ones, I bet you ours gets picked 8th or 9th last year, right? I mean, 8th or 9th last year with the success that we had. And so, yes, there's a lot of great things to come, but there's a lot to be proud of at this institution.
Amen. That is a great quote to end right
Absolutely.
there on. So again, thank you so much, Ben, first of all, for joining again. I mean, again, we can't say enough how much, we appreciate all the work that you and the WolfPack Club put in again to this program that we love so much. And again, at the end of the day, just like you said, when every single championship, every single accomplishment that this program achieves, it's an all-in approach. Obviously the WolfPack Club has a big piece of it. The athletes themselves, the coaches, the fans, everybody has a little bit of piece of that for sure. So again, just want to say thank you again, and thank you for joining us. Really do appreciate your time.
Yep.
Hey, without question, guys, it's an honor to be a part of this. I'm very blessed to do it. Thank my lucky stars every day. I appreciate y'all.
Yep, absolutely. And again,
Appreciate
just like we said in part one, there in the description will be all of the details in terms of how to join the WolfPack Club. If you haven't already, make sure to go do that. Again, super cheap. Again, as little as $120 a year. And again, if you have any questions at all about the WolfPack Club or anything like that, please feel free even to message us directly or Ben directly or whatever it is. Again, if you have any questions, concerns about it, reach out, and that way we can, help explain, help, understand, so that way you feel comfortable in terms of what you're getting back to. But again, so thank you all so much again for tuning in. And hey, as always, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button if you don't mind as well. And again, give us a follow at Tuffy Talk Now on Twitter and Instagram. But thank you all so much for tuning in. As always, go Pack, y'all. We'll see y'all soon.